What's a communist? A communist usually is a former socialist who changed his or her mind about something. And the best way to understand it is, again, a little history, as it often is. World War I was a crucial moment for all socialists. Would they fight or not? Debs and Lenin said, we will not fight. And they went to jail, or they were exiled because of it. Many socialists said we have to be loyal in our country. So, for example, the majority of German, because socialism was stronger in Germany at the beginning of World War I than anywhere else in the world. I mean, Marx was German, and one reason for that. So the Socialist Party split. It had elected many deputies to the parliament, and under parliamentary rules in Germany, as in many countries, the money for fighting World War I had to be voted by the parliament. The Reichstag, it's called in Germany. The Bundesrat later. And if they didn't get a majority of the votes, they couldn't fight a war. The Kaiser at that time, the leader of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm, he could declare a war, which he did, but he couldn't fight it unless the bourgeoisie voted through its representatives to give him the money authority, the taxes and the printing authority to go ahead and do it, which was typical in all the countries. So the socialists, who were huge, the second largest party in Germany at the time of World War I was the Socialist Party. That's how strong they were. They had to decide what are their deputies going to do. If they had voted as a bloc against it, either the war wouldn't have happened or it would have happened very differently. What are you going to do, arrest them all? It's your second biggest party. You have real trouble in your country. So the tremendous pressure put on them, and they split. A majority of them went with the government and voted what were called war credits, voted for it. A minority voted against. They were arrested. And the most famous among those arrested, a Socialist Party delegate to the German government, was a woman named Rosa Luxemburg. If you ever heard of her, that's why you've heard of her. Okay, so long story short, the war is now over, but the memories are bitter. Germany has lost the war, so everybody who voted for it is in the doghouse politically. The Kaiser is gone. Germany has lost, devastated country, and it has reparations to pay to Britain, France, for the war. That was a new development, make the loser pay for the war. So the Germans were. Who were the heroes? The few socialists who refused. They now, in retrospect, looked like the wise ones. We should have followed them. We wouldn't be in this terrible position. But they were very bitter against each other. Very bitter, these two. Because it was life and death for many of them and their families and everything else. Plus, a radical thing had changed the world. In one country, Russia, in the middle of World War I, 1917, remember the war goes from 1914 to 1918, in the middle of 1917, a revolution happens inside one of the warring countries, Russia, in which socialists take over and become the new government. You cannot understand modern history if you do not understand the importance of this. What it did was it made every socialist in the world say, oh my God, we've never done it. We've been an opposition party. We've been radicals, but we haven't won anywhere. Closest thing, if you know about it, was something called the Paris Commune. For a few weeks in 1871, the working class took over the city of Paris and ran it threw out the government and ran it themselves, called the Paris Commune. Marx was still alive and was involved from London with it. Wrote one of the greatest things he ever wrote about it, what mistakes they made. That was what was used by Lenin later to try to strategize the Russian Revolution, not to make the mistakes that they had made. Not he was a child then, but anyway. Every socialist everywhere, no matter what she thought, realized they figured it out. These three famous men, Lenin, Trotsky, Stalin, the three. There were other leaders, but they were the three who came to be known, partly because of stuff that happened later. They figured it out. These Russians figured out how to take the next step of capturing a government. So the socialists around the world said, we have to support them.